What's going on, guys? Apathettic here with all your tips, recommendations, and everything in between. And today I'm going to show you what I think are the top 5 meta weapons for Season of the Chosen. So I'll cover the weapons, the roles to look out for, and even where to get them. We'll also mention that the weapons I'm choosing are based on my experience using mouse and keyboard, but I'll make sure to highlight if a weapon is especially good on console as well. But before that, I also have a Discord for people looking to team up, discuss builds, or ask questions, so consider joining the Discord using the link below if you're looking to connect with some like-minded Destiny players. With that, let's get into it. Getting into the first weapon on this list, I had to choose none other than Old Faithful, the Ace of Spades exotic hand cannon with the exotic perk Memento Mori. Reloading after a kill, loads magazine with a few extra damage bullets, grants radar while aiming down sights. And the reason I chose Ace of Spades for this list is because 140s right now are very good, but because of how strong 120s are in the current meta, they're being overshadowed just a little bit. And so Ace of Spades is probably one of the only 140s that can really truly compete with 120s at a longer range, especially with Memento Mori procced. Now, the thing you want to keep in mind when using 140s, and especially a weapon like Ace of Spades, is you're going to want to play a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more up close to your enemies, so you're not trying to compete with 120s in their optimal range. Another thing that really makes Ace of Spades a standout is that exotic perk. That's a huge part of what makes this weapon viable and is able to compete against other 120 hand cannons, along with the fact that you also have radar while aiming down sights. This allows you to hold lanes a little bit longer and really use that additional information you wouldn't have when aiming down sights to make the best decision on if you should push forward or if you're being flanked from the side and you should run away. While Ace of Spades isn't sitting currently at the tip top of the meta like 120s are, it definitely can compete because of its overall stats and the exotic perk. I definitely recommend pulling this thing out of your vault if you haven't used it in a while. It was nice to feel that 140 RPM fire rate again, especially after 150s got removed from the game and after using 120s for so long. You kind of forget how great 140s truly feel, and it's very easy to sleep on Ace of Spades in this current meta. But don't think that if 120s get nerfed or adjusted in any way, that Ace of Spades isn't going to find itself at the top of the meta once again. Next up, we have the return of an old favorite, and that is the Messenger Pulse Rifle that can be obtained in Trials of Osiris, depending on what the rewards are in that given weekend. And the role I'm rocking on mine is one with full bore, ricochet rounds, rapid hit, and Desperado. And so what really makes this Messenger special is it rolls with Desperado, which was previously only available on Red Richter's Claymore, which was the Crucible competitive playlist reward. And so with Desperado, reloading after a precision final blow increases your rate of fire. Once you trigger this perk, you're able to absolutely melt multiple enemies, and that's truly what makes the Messenger stand out in the current meta. It's not only the ability to compete at range without Desperado with other 120s, but once you proc Desperado, almost no weapon is competing with you at any range, and you're absolutely melting enemies left and right. The only challenge with this weapon and why it's so low on this list is because of its accessibility, and that all has to do with the reward structure of Trials. Getting into what would be the best role for the Messenger, I actually tend to go with reload speed here for the masterwork, putting us at a level 10. From there, in terms of what you would want is the optimal perk roll in for your barrel, you're gonna be looking for small bore, which can give you a nice boost to range and stability, which just makes the recoil on this weapon a little bit easier to control. Going into our second perk, ricochet rounds, giving us another boost to that range and stability. Again, just further helping us control that recoil and keep that burst nice and steady. Going into this last row here, Killing Wind is a great perk, as is Outlaw. I feel like these are 2B both are okay, but ultimately I recommend Rapid Hit, which is giving us that boost to reload and stability, and it's very easy to proc multiple stacks of Rapid Hit since you are using a pulse, so each hit is going to proc a stack. And as far as our last perk column, it really is a no-brainer going with Desperado, as I talked about earlier. So as you can see, my roll that I got is a pretty good roll, not 100% god roll, just missing the barrel. I do have full bore instead, but full bore, only not so bad. So that's the role I'll be aiming for on the Messenger, and really talking about how good this weapon is, guys. You can absolutely melt people with Desperado, as I said earlier. So making sure that if you find this at 3 wins on Trials, paying close attention to that if trials is available, and so you can easily try to farm for those 3 wins on each of your 3 characters. Moving on to our next weapon or weapons, I'm kind of cheating here, but we're going to be going between Felwinter's Lie and Astral Horizon. Starting with Felwinter's Lie, this weapon is now finally accessible via the kiosk in the tower, so everyone can finally get this weapon. And what makes Felwinter's Lie so unique and so special is, obviously now that it's easy to get, is that you basically get a god roll shotgun with quick draw and opening shot with the option of switching to Vorpal or slide shot, and its intrinsic trait shot package, aggressive frame shotgun modified to have more uniform pellet spread. And so that's what really makes Felwinter's Lie stand out against other shotties, is that it's so consistent at range, has the highest or farthest one-hit kill range of any of the shotguns in Destiny 2 right now. So previously the feedback on this shotgun was that it wasn't accessible, and only if you were playing in a certain season you were able to get it, which is no longer the case. But the thing to keep in mind with this weapon, and why I paired it with Astral Horizon, is because Felwinter's Lie, as Bungie has stated, is expected to get a nerf somewhere down the line. Now, we don't know if that's going to completely destroy the usability of the shotgun or not, but also with the addition of 120s finding their way into the energy slot, having an Astral Horizon is going to be super helpful as well. And you're going to want to have one with similar perks, with quick draw and opening shot mainly being the most important perks. And the fact that if you can manage to get an adept Astral Horizon, you can put an adept Icarus grip on there, which can give you a little bit more range and make your shotgun even more accurate in the air. The only challenge is the latest edition, revision, whatever you want to call, version of Astral Horizon that has come out does not roll with quick draw. So if you don't have an Astral Horizon with quick draw, you're probably not going to be able to get one in the future, which is, I don't know why Bungie did that, but keep that in mind if you're farming for one. They do still roll with opening shot, but I highly recommend, if you can't get Astral Horizon with opening quick draw, you're going to want to hang on to your Felwinter's Lie for now, and hopefully it doesn't get nerfed too bad into the future. But also, hopefully Bungie reintroduces Astral Horizons with quick draw and opening shot. But those are the 2 perks on any shotgun you're going to be looking for. But because these are both aggressive frame shotguns, it makes them the most consistent from the farthest ranges, which is what we need as much as possible when using a shotgun. Next up in the number 2 slot, and I never thought I'd be talking about a scout rifle being one of the best weapons in Destiny 2 in the current meta, but here we are. We have Dead Man's Tail with the exotic perk Cranial Spike. Chaining precision hits grants bonus damage and quickens reload speed. And so when this weapon first came out, it wasn't insanely good. It was pretty good. It's obviously great at range, as scout rifles tend to be. Then the exotic catalyst came out, which increases your hip fire rate of fire and removes hip fire accuracy penalties. So this thing fires at basically 150 RPM, but still does a ton of damage with that impact on this weapon. And that's what has truly made Dead Man's Tail rise to, or towards the top of the meta, is the fact that you can now treat it like a traditional scout, take those long range shots with incredible accuracy. But now when those shotgun rushers start pushing you, or you get a hand cannon user up in your face, you can switch to that hip fire mode and you actually absolutely mow down other enemies. It's even caught me off guard as I've been pushing people using Dead Man's Tail, just how fast this weapon can heal when you're landing your shots in that hip fire mode. On top of the fact that you can get this weapon from the Prestige mission, and you can farm it every single week with random rolls. So you see here I have one with extended barrel, ricochet rounds, and snapshot sights. I love having snapshot sights on this just for that a little bit more snappy ADS speed, but Outlaw is also a great option on this weapon. And so this is really a weapon that really has very little weaknesses, in the sense that you have that long range lockdown, you hip fire when people are up close, to really make sure you're protected. The one thing you want to make sure you don't do is trying to hip fire from too far away. Once you unlock this catalyst and you feel the power of the hip fire on this weapon, it becomes very easy to try to just hip fire all the time. You're going to quickly find you're way too far out of that optimal range. So learning the right range to hip fire this weapon is critical to be as successful as possible with Dead Man's Tail. And for our number 1 spot in the meta for Season of the Chosen is Igneous Hammer. But honestly, you could really put almost any 120 hand cannon in this slot because of just how dominant 120s are. The reason I've chosen Igneous Hammer is because of its combination of perk rolls and the fact that it can run with adept mods. As far as the role you're going to be looking for on Igneous Hammer, I look for a range masterwork, And as far as the barrel, again, you're going to want small bore, gives you that increase to range and stability to help with that recoil control. And then from there, of course, ricochet rounds, more range, more stability. I'm sure you guys are seeing the pattern here. And then in this last slot, we have some interesting options. Killing Wind is not a bad option here in terms of the range and mobility boost you get. But for me, I want Quick Draw. Quick Draw really helps overcome the biggest negative on 120 RPM hand cannons, which is the handling. Having that Quick Draw is going to help your ADS speed feel a little bit better, and of course that draw out speed is going to be amazing, which also helps with when you switch weapons, your stow speed. So if you're running a shotgun with Quick Draw or a sniper with Quick Draw, it's going to allow you to pull out those weapons even quicker because you're able to store your Igneous Hammer faster. And then lastly, and more great options here, obviously we do not want Celerity. That is a terrible perk. But ideally, we would want Rampage, where after you get that one kill, now you have the ability to 2-tap some Guardians depending on their resilience level. And this just makes this weapon a complete beast. Along with having chart-topping stats across the board, having this perk pull, along with the fact that you can also get Adept mods, you get the Adept version, really makes this gun incredibly consistent and incredibly deadly compared to other 120s. But overall, you could slot any 120 into this #1 spot. Of course, Igneous Hammer, because it's another Trials weapon, is not super accessible at the moment. So if you get a great bottom dollar, or you have a really good steady hand, those weapons will also do just fine, just because of how insane the range and damage output on 120 is right now. So I would get these weapons, like the steady hand, like the bottom dollar, Igneous if you can, depending on what the rewards are in Trials that particular weekend, and get as much use out of these weapons as you can. Based on the usage rates, I wouldn't be surprised if you see 120s get tuned in some shape or form in the coming season, just because they're just so strong, so oppressive in the meta right now. And with all the ways you can get damage boosts in Destiny 2, they are 2-tapping like crazy across the board. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see some adjustments in some way, shape, or form to this archetype. And let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of this top 5 list, and what is your favorite 120 hand cannon right now? With that, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, as they're all free ways to support me. And I will catch you guys in the next one.